Ready!
And we're underway in the women's 4x6 kilometre relay. It's Norway wearing 1, Sweden with bib number 2, France looking to replicate the brilliant performance of the men's relay team earlier on today, going 3, Germany wearing 4, Italy 5, Switzerland 6, Czechia 7, Austria 8, Ukraine 9, and Poland wearing bib number 10, and they are out and on to the course. This the highest part of the course, sitting atop the hill that looks over Lake Hurtiainen.
Nice climb out of the stadium. Not a terribly difficult course besides the wall. When you think of the wall, it's kind of the feature of this course, and learning how your body can manage the effort into the shooting range is what this Kontiolahti course is all about.
Susanna Kliev, who is wearing bib number 1 with the little one next to it for Norway. Do you think there had been an air of disappointment about how Norway went yesterday in the single mixed relay, only coming through in 5th?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you spend any time around Nordic skiing and Nordic sports in Norway in the modern era, there has to be disappointment when they don't actually win the event. To be 5th, I think it's, they're not going to say that out loud, but I think that there's a huge amount of need to come back and prove themselves as a team after a 5th place finish. It's certainly a disappointment to say the very least.
Well, she's tucked in 3rd at the moment. It's Jean Monod leading the way. Then behind her, Anna Magnusson with the bright orange poles. Swedes wearing bib number 2.
Arne Kleef struggled a little bit on the shooting range. She's got an opportunity now to come back. And to be clear, Ellen, this is a sport in which that can happen very quickly. You can just have something a little bit off on one day and be yourself again the next day. It's really what Arne Kleef has to do. She kind of has to shake off that shaky performance she had in the single mixed relay and just come back out and do it. And that's kind of what the Norwegian team expects of her, to be frank. I mean, they expect her to be a pro.
You can see the coaches moving alongside their athletes, trying to get the early words of support and advice in. Now the pack strung out. France leading from Sweden, Norway 3rd. The USA, who are up into 4th now.
A good start for Kelsey Dickinson. She's a very strong shooter. That's her strength, but she has improved her skiing over the past few years. She struggled with long COVID symptoms for a couple of years and was kind of wondering if she was going to kick them, but she's finally, I talked to her before the season, and we're very close as former coach and athlete, and she said she's feeling the best she's felt in about 4 years. So Kelsey Dickinson on the right side of the screen, and that new royal blue, white, and red and white candy stripes on the left leg. That's Kelsey there.
Yeah, the USA wearing bib number 12. Not too dissimilar start through the early stages as to what we saw the US men's team make. They performed well in the 4 by 7.5.
Domino leading this group now, getting a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field, and that's probably just the wall's going to do the level of skiing. Even though I don't think Jean Monod is really trying to push the pace here so much, I think she's just on that high of a level that it sort of naturally happened for her.
So bibs 1, 2, and 3. And broken away early on. Jean Monod.
It's Austria here in the 4th spot, leading the charge, bib number 8. It's Dunja Zaduc, and she's 163 starts into her career, so she's had. I heard from American anchor leg skier today, Deidre Irwin, and she was kind of joking that she now feels like a mainstay on the team after hitting 100 starts. And I know what she means. You need to have a lot of starts before you feel like you actually belong at this level.
So here we go, into the range for the first time. France, Sweden, Norway. And then 6 seconds back, Italy.
Yeah, watching these biathlon races, you really want to keep your eye on the graphics. It tells a lot of the story. That 7-kilometer-an-hour wind, kind of wind from about 10 o'clock into the face. It's not going to mess with the bullets too terribly much. It's usually when the wind comes directly from the side that it affects the trajectory the most. A little bit of a left to right blowing the wind. Nobody taking any clicks though and adjusting their sights at this point.
France 2 for 2, as are Sweden and now Norway. All go 3 for 3, 4 for 4, and it's a clean shoot for France, Sweden and Norway.
After Ukraine, Poland, Finland, all clean as well. Slovakia and Estonia, Belgium, and Canada all at the early numbers of the range as they enter the range. United States into the extra rounds, as is Italy.
Yeah, and Italy dropping right down the order to coming in fourth.
So just
16.
13 seconds separating the top 15. Or 19 seconds from the top 15 for Toranina. Her husband, a former cross-country standout for Kazakhstan, the United States back in 17th, that extra round. Lou Jean Monod, we get a look at her shooting. See where they landed. Nice shot, right down the middle, low X-ring. Right at about 4 o'clock, just out of the X-ring, so very center of the target. All of her shots going a little bit to the right side of the target, but there you go. There you see the shots. That's what the coaches are doing, and they'll show the athletes that as they're zeroing to make sure that they know where they are on the target. But it looks like maybe a trend a little bit to the right side of the target of the prone ring, but nothing that's really going to be in danger of going out of the prone ring and registering a miss.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Chad, we were warned before the start of this race that we were expecting the wind to pick up, but just because of the direction, doesn't seem to be affecting shooting too much.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about the rain earlier. One of the things that can be affected by the rain are the little red wind flags on the shooting range. They can become heavier and therefore need more wind to register what they're doing. But most athletes will have figured that out. They'll probably, in their mind, try to figure out what that wind adjustment would be with a heavy wind flag. And we can draw your attention to those wind flags when you see them.
Zana Kliyev, who leads the way. Jean Monod just taking advantage of that inside line. And has carried the momentum and pace really well around that corner.
Still a nice tight group at the front of the field after shooting one. 20 seconds separating the top 15 teams.
Well, Jean Monod, second overall last season. She did, however, miss 2 races because of illness, and I was looking at some really good analysis from Brian Halligan, who said actually she, points per race wise, she won more than any biathlete, which really shows the challenge that Lisa Vitozzi will have when she comes back in. As you can see, the splits at 3.2 kilometers flash back up onto your screen. Still, really the story of that is just how close grouped together up to the top 10 are. Just 6 seconds separating the top 10.
Yeah, you look at Jean Monod's career, I mean, it's a really compelling development in the sport. She's 26 years of age, and she's been around for a while. She won the junior cup score back in 17-18, but then she got to the senior level and kind of stagnated in the 30th. She was 25th in the 18-19 season in the overall IBU Cup standings. And she finally made herself a mainstay on the French team and finished 11th in the 22-23 season, and then jumped all the way up to second overall. And it shows you that even though you're a star as a junior in this sport, you need a few years. So you look at her year from 17-18, where she was the winner of the Junior Cup Series. Everybody knew she was good, but now it's 22-23 before she was in the top tier of the whole World Cup. And then to get to the second spot, it's taken almost 8 years, and that takes some patience.
So up the wall we go. Jean Monod leading Magnussen by almost 2.5 seconds. And Kliev 3.7 seconds down. Still very tightly bunched. And I have to say, particularly the later races, the support up the side of the wall, I'm sure will be very well received, but they pack it out.
Anna Magnussen chasing now for Sweden, 29 years of age. She's won 1 World Cup victory. She did that 2 years ago in Annecy in the sprint. All of her top finishes coming in the shorter sprint competition. She's very good at fast skiing.
She says this is her favourite type of competition, this mass start. Yeah, side by side with the athletes. And you know where you are in the pack.
Good skis on the fin there, you see on the left-hand side. It's first skier for them is
Suvi Minkkinen, who was leading out the single mixed relay team yesterday. Started so strongly, didn't they, and just faded slightly. But Finnish men doing well today.
Yeah, great race for the Finnish men. They were 5th place. I can't remember the last time the Finnish men were 5th. It's been a while. The Finns were really good in biathlon in the early eras of the sport. They had Tapio Piipponen, who was one of the best in the world, and then Harri Eloranta had a bronze medal in the sprint in the 1992 Olympics. They had a world champion in Paavo Puronen, but those are all pre-2000. In fact, Puronen's world championship came in 2000. They struggled since then to capture the imagination of the young athletes.
So into the range, second shooting, and it is, of course, standing. A miss for Norway. 3 for 3 for France. Sweden also with a miss. And France go clear. Norway and Sweden having to dip into those extra rounds.
Time ticking. Magnussen gets out of there. Norway too. Norway as well. So it's going to be about a gap of about 10 seconds, I think.
Finland as well having to drop into the extra rounds. And another miss for Minkkinen.
Yeah, 10 seconds to second place, 11 seconds to Arne Klev. And Jean Monod gets a little bit of breathing room for the final lap of skiing, but now she can kind of go for broke and try to put time on the Norwegian and the Swede.
Yeah, the gap's starting to open up slightly. Still the top 10 within 30 seconds.
Italy back in 13th place after the 2 shooting stages. And Komola with just an extra round, so maybe not quite skiing up to her normal standard. And Komola struggling now to keep pace. There's Arne Klev.
And that first shooting really dropped Italy down the standings, and you imagine a slight knock of the confidence after coming into the range for the first time in 4th. As you say, Chad, now down in 13th.
We talked about the men's performance, the French men going all the way to the last shooting stage with no misses. They're already in this women's competition. There are only, let's see, there are 5 teams still clean out of 19. So it tells you just how rare it is to get that far into a race and stay clean. Emilien Jacquelin actually talked about that after the race, how disappointed he was that he messed that clean shooting performance for his team on the last shooting stage. But it put a lot of pressure on him too to do that. It's kind of like shooting free throws and keeping the free throws in the on a basketball hoop rolling. You start thinking about it.
And 2 shootings in. France are clean. Lou Jean-Monod.
All by herself. Got a little bit of a relief, and see if she can grow that 10 seconds into something more before she hands off to her teammate, Justine Brassard-Boucher. Brassard-Boucher, one of the fastest skiers on the circuit, sort of the gold standard, but she is a little shaky from the standing position, or has statistically been so. But she's back to 82% across all shooting performances. But if you go back a few years, she was in the 50% early in her career from the standing position. So she's had to work on that at the second leg of France. But she's also Olympic champion and world champion in the mass start, so she can strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah, absolutely. Performs 5% better as a shooter in mass start competitions. So Anna Magnusson is 8.2 seconds down on Jean-Monod. And Kliev is then a further 8 seconds behind, 16.3 down on the leader.
So Magnusson making time on Jean-Monod. Arne Kliev losing. 5 seconds lost by Arne Kliev and 2 seconds gained by Magnusson. So Jean-Monod doing the job, but Magnusson trying to keep Sweden within striking distance. And if you look at who Sweden has after Anna Magnusson, they've got Sarah Anderson, a 21-year-old, not very experienced at all. She's going to go up against Justine Brassard-Boucher, Olympic champion. That's a pretty heady order for her to handle. But if she can get through with just keeping Sweden in close to the front, you've got the Uberg sisters to clean up for the Swedes, and that is a formidable duo.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we've said plenty of times, we saw a brilliant performance from someone potentially we weren't expecting to perform so well for Sweden yesterday. So potentially the performance of Ella Halvarsson adding some source of inspiration for the Swedish youngster who is next in order. And that is the 29-year-old Swede who is currently making her way up the wall for one final time.
Jessica Yezlova moving Czech Republic into the medal contention now in bib 7. She was 18 seconds back. She stayed even with Jean-Monod, but the rest of the field sort of falling back. Arne Kliev now dropping to 5th place, 21 seconds back after being just 11 back at the shooting range. So Arne Kliev having a little more trouble again 2 days in a row. Not a great start to her campaign on these relay performances.
Yeah, in the space of, 200 meters, she's dropped 2 positions. She slipped right back and lost touch of Anna Magnusson.
Yeah, this time of the year, if you're having that kind of trouble with your fitness, it's a little bit unnerving if you're the coach and you expect more from Arne Kliev. Maybe a little, you have to consider maybe holding her out and making sure that she is 100% as the season goes on, because you can just keep putting stress on her, and the stress will crack her. You can see her at the back of this group now. And it's not a real big loop to maybe hang a season on, but still, 2 races in 2 days early in the season where you're kind of coming apart, you've got to maybe address that a little bit.
Lou Jean-Monod has done her job, and she will go through the range one more time. Won't be stopping. She will go straight into exchange, where Justine Brassard-Boucher will be waiting for her. And there is the French woman, focused, prepared. And we're watching to see her teammate come around the corner.
Brassard-Boucher will take the reins and the lead from her teammate, Jean-Monod. 11 total victories individually Brassard-Boucher has in World Cup, World Championship, and Olympic competition. She's out on course now, and expect her to put a little bit of time on everybody. She is certainly the fastest skier of the second leg.
And she's launched herself away. The 2022 Mass Start Globe winner.
Czech Republic in second now, or shared lead, or shared second place with Sweden at the exchange. The Czechs actually are officially in second place. They got about a half a second lead on Sweden. That is one of their most decorated biathletes of recent memory, Marketa Davidova, 27 years of age now. She's the world champion. Look at the fastest leg of that. Fastest leg is obviously going to be Jean Monod, so she's going to get the prize money for the fastest leg of leg one. Doro Vera gets out on course, and the Italians really struggling. Kontiolahti tagging in 12th position at the first exchange.
Yes, she's fought her way back up from 16th, where she dropped to, with the Italian team falling down after that first shooting, handing over in 12th. And Dorothea Verla, who performed well yesterday, Chad. She's now out, but has some work to do to get into the top 10.
Yeah, there's sort of a an amount of expectation that you can just expect from somebody as experienced as Dorothea Vera. She knows what she needs to be, where she needs to be physically to be effective on the World Cup, and she showed that yesterday. I was almost a little bit surprised at how fit she looked, just knowing that she likes to come in and ski herself into race shape. So perhaps taking a little bit more serious approach towards being fit for her team this year.
The Olympics, the Winter Olympics, coming to Italy in 2026. 20 of the Italians with one eye on that competition and performing well on home snow. Biathlon Boucher through 14.1 seconds ahead of Davidova. Tomingas now up into third for Estonia. And Sarah Anderson down in fourth. Norway holding fifth.
So Davidova making time on Biathlon Boucher. It's a little bit surprising, but maybe Biathlon Boucher is just taking it easy, making sure she knocks down her prone targets. Davidova is trying to catch the leaders, and Tomingas from Estonia. Estonia doing very well, up into third position. First leg for Estonia is Regina Ermets. They're putting their top two most experienced and most competitive athletes, Ermets followed by Tomingas. And maybe they can find their way to the podium if they give the young Susan Kulm and experienced Johanna Talihärm enough of a chance to stay at the front. Talihärm skied in the United States for Montana State University and has been on the World Cup now for a better part of the last decade. Biathlon Boucher through 7.4 kilometers in 22:24.7. 10 seconds have passed now, and Davidova was 14 seconds back at the last time. Now she's given back another 5 seconds. So perhaps getting the word out on course from her coaches. You see the coaches standing at the bottom of the hill. They'll radio out the information to the athletes. And Davidova maybe getting a little bit of a jump on Justine Biathlon Boucher. And Biathlon Boucher answering that call just a little bit, realizing she might have to up her intensity just a little bit. Send a message to the Czech athlete.
The Swedish team just edging ahead now of Estonia. 21-year-old Anderson with now 14 World Cup starts on this second leg.
Germany struggling a little bit. Tannheimer going second, 19 years of age. The Germans trying new athletes in these relays. A young team. Johanna Puff just 22. Tannheimer 19, still a junior athlete out on course right now. And then Julia Kink at 20 years of age, and they're gonna back those three up with Franziska Preuss at 30. Very experienced, but Germany, I think at this point, that's telling me I think they're just trying to find some new talent, give some young athletes an opportunity.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Julia Tannheimer made an impressive debut at the World Juniors in 2022. That was in Soldier Hollow. Just missed out on a medal due to accuracy, but bounced back to 3 golds in 2023. Gold in the individual and the relay this year, as well as 2 silvers as well. So she's certainly a promising youngster who Germany are putting a lot of faith in today. Looks like the wind has dropped slightly as France come in for the first shooting of this second leg. Brassard Boucher.
Let's see the red flags on the right-hand side of the screen. Those are those wind flags we're talking about. They're fluttering a little bit. You can see the wind almost coming directly at the athletes now.
And it's 2 misses for France.
Door is wide open now. Then to make matters worse, she jams the bullet in the ejecting process. And Davidova can sense the panic in Justine Brassard-Boucher.
Sweden go clean as well.
It's a 2-person race. They're going to fly right past the French. And now France will be playing catch up to Sweden and the Czech Republic.
And that's just how quickly things can change. And the door flung wide open for those wearing bibs 7 and 2. Czechia leading the way from Sweden.
And Norton will have a penalty loop. Look at the red dot. It shows you that Norway is going to the loop. So Norway's problems continue. They won the mixed relay, had difficulty in the single mixed relay. Now in the women's race, they are off the back. That's going to put them well outside the time of contention early in this race. They do have Vanderbilt going last, but Maren Kikkeide is not going to really be expected to make up the time that she needs to. I think Norton was the person who was supposed to stabilize this quartet, and she has made matters worse by going to the penalty loop. Let's see what the time is when she leaves. Already almost 50 seconds back after 3 shooting stages.
Well, it's all fallen apart there for Norway. There is a lot of work to be done. They had to fight back in the men's, taking second place earlier on today. But that is a huge challenge for Norway. It's back on board.
Get a look here. There's both shots out to the right, so we're seeing most misses on this range coming from the right, probably because the wind is coming from left to right and pushing the bullets that way. But I think those are too far out to be considered wind misses. Those are very likely and probably just operator error.
So Czechia and Sweden, the two who have broken away and really taken advantage of the mistakes made by France, Norway. Estonia still there in 4th.
And what about these Swedish youngsters? They're absolutely stepping up and knocking it out of the park. They're not terribly young. Sarah Anderson, 21, but Sarah Anderson really, she's 49th in the overall World Cup and really not somebody of a high profile. And she's going stride for stride with the world champion from Czech Republic, Markéta Davidová. I've been very impressed with the coach's decisions of when is the right time to put a young athlete like this in this pressure situation. Sometimes you can break the spirit of a developing athlete, and this is showing that the coaches know what these athletes are ready to do, and they're doing it. They're stepping into big shoes and filling them.
Well, the gap has been cut drastically by Brassard-Boucher.
Yeah, look at that, 5.8 seconds back after being 10 down. She's made up half the distance that she lost in the shooting range. But remember, she had a 20-second lead coming into shooting, so she's still got to make up some time if she wants to get to where she was going into the first of 2 shooting stages in leg 2.
And Finland have jumped from 11th up into 5th. Could we see 2 5th-place finishes for the men and women today of Finland on home snow?
Venla Lehtinen, 29 years of age, she and Minkinen, very good friends, roommates on the World Cup, and they are the most experienced athletes on the team, doing a great job today on this course they know so well. Most of the Finnish biathlon team live and train on this venue all year long. There's a roller loop underneath all this snow, so you can roller ski and do combination training on roller skis. And really, kind of what you need to do in the modern era of biathlon is you need a venue like this. And it'd be nice to see the Finns maybe recruit some more talent from the cross-country skiing ranks into the sport.
So we'll group back together with the front three. 2.5 seconds separating them, and then it's 18.2 back to Estonia. Top six within 20 seconds of each other.
This is what we like to see biathlon at this point in the race. It makes for exciting circumstances and pressure cooker situations, which is what makes the sport so special. And the sort of lack of hierarchy, so to speak, in the running order every time we hold a competition, especially in this women's relay. This is really a tight one at this point, and really we can thank Bryce Boucher for a couple of misses for that one.
And what's interesting is Norway haven't been able to gain any ground at all. They've dropped 3 seconds from when they left shooting. And Nutem finding herself in 8th. She's got a huge amount of work to do.
She's actually losing time from the shooting range to the leader, Davidova. She's lost 2 seconds. Here's Taunheimer, the young German, doing all she can. Taunheimer, just 19 years of age. Great experience for her, though, to get this World Cup start. It's her 4th World Cup start. She's competed in 3 World Cups prior to this. But as you said, absolutely stellar performance at the last 2 Junior World Championships. She got a 2nd place in the mixed relay in 2023, but individual world champion last year in the junior category. And we have to wonder when we're going to see the next generation of great Germans as Preuss turns 30 next year.
So here we go. Into the range once again. This time it's standing for our leading 3 athletes.
Such a head game when it's for the win. Just leg 2 here.
Miss for France. Sweden 2 for 2. Missing though on the 3rd. Czechia 3 for 3. They make it 4. But they can't clear.
She jumped on that shot. You could see it. When we say jumping on it, her barrel basically fell forward right before the shot. She wanted to grab it, but she still gets out first. Sweden in the penalty loop.
Well, that's so disappointing. The Swedish team, off they go.
Now Marketa Davidova with some ground and some space between her and the rest of the field. Can she open it up enough to give her teammates a chance? She is the strongest of the quartet. We've got Lucy Sharbatova going last. She's a very fast skier, but notoriously poor standing shooter, 61% last year. So you have to give an athlete like that a bit of a cushion if you want to win in the end.
And look at this, Finland up into 3rd. The home crowd will love that.
Huge performance for the Finns so far. Just 20 seconds out of the lead as they head to the 2nd exchange.
So Belgium also on their way. They're now up into 5th. Dorothea Vela and Italy 6th. Norway only up 1 place.
It's a great relay unfolding here in the women's category, and it's tight. Just still after 4 shooting stages, there's just 37 seconds between 1st and 5th. And it's Belgium in the 5th spot, Finland in 2nd, and that is a topsy-turvy leaderboard. France not leading, it's actually Czech Republic leading, and Finland in 3rd. Wouldn't that be a coup for the Finns to be able to hang on? A lot of racing left to go, but still, it's fun to think about.
Plenty of racing left to go, but pretty much every time we've come through the range, something has swung, things have changed, and that is what we love about the relays.
Czech coach feeling very satisfied with the performance so far from his team. Nobody clean on the day. Estonia was clean up until that shooting point, and then Tomingas had 2 misses, and then she drops from 6th to 8th with those 2 extra rounds.
So those
Davidova. Oh, go ahead.
splits as the athletes came out of shooting 4. Davidova by herself, 13 seconds, the advantage when she left shooting. She will be chased down by Boucher though, and well, we know and we can see there just how quickly she can close. She did it after the last visit to the range, and she's cut the deficit once again. It's now 8.6 seconds.
Well, I love how Davidova skis. I always have. She is not a clean movement technician, but she is very. She moves the band and she's very relaxed, and she looks like she feels comfortable on her skis. She might not be perfect as far as the pull angles, but her body weight is in a good place. She skis very airy. She doesn't need to be powerful. She just uses her body weight very well. But Venla Lehtinen is having the race of her career right now, putting Finland in the 3rd spot. And Lehtinen actually making time on Davidova in that last time check. She's taken a second out of her since leaving the shooting range. What a great performance.
Sweden in 5th, and now Norway slowly climbing up the order. Norton into 6th. 43.9 seconds down. Can Norway close the gap? Of course, want to give Thunderbolt the best chance of making the podium. Of course, there'll be expectations to be on the top spot. To the front of the course, and up the wall one last time for Davidova. Look at Brécha Boucher once again. She's half the deficit, now just 4 seconds behind, and driving up the wall.
I have never seen Venla Lehtinen look this good on her ski form. She is flying up this hill, and she's got to be feeling it. To have a performance like this on your home course, your team in medal contention, it almost gives you goosebumps for Lehtinen, as she's got less than 500 meters to the finish now to tag off to her 3rd leg skier. That is Inka Hämäläinen. Unfortunately for the Finns, the experience drops off precipitously at this exchange. But they've done a nice job to create a story for themselves on their home venue. Inka Hämäläinen, just 18 years of age, and in her 4th World Cup start. Still in the junior category. Just to put it in perspective, her top World Cup finish for Inka Hämäläinen is 75th in Östersund last year, and that's one of her 3 starts. So she's got a pretty hefty backpack to carry around the next leg.
Julia Tannheimer, promising German prospect, making her way just over the top of the wall. And the gap closed now completely. Nothing between Czechia and France as they come into the penultimate exchange.
Sophie Chavot will go for France. She had her first career podium last season, 25 years of age. She is the weakest of the 4 French, but weak is a relative word because she's actually quite solid at the World Cup level. She will go up against the Czech athlete Tereza Vobornikova, who had a huge move last year. She was actually the top-ranked Czech athlete last season. She supplanted Davidova as the best-ranked Czech athlete. She was 16th in the overall standings, just 24 years of age. So, no slouch going out there for the Czech Republic in leg 3 either.
Yeah, and it's a Czechia team who performed well in Soldier Hollow towards the end of last season as well. Can they go one better and find themselves on top of the podium? It's France who exchanged first.
Venla Lehtinen tags off to Finland at home, and what a great honor and exciting moment for this young athlete at 18 years of age to wear the white and blue of Finland on her home course in the medal contention right now.
Well, the pressure is well and truly on. How many times have we witnessed young athletes perform incredibly well under pressure, and it's stories that you remember forever. Italy now. That's brilliant from Italy to get up to 4th. And once again, Dorothea Vela performing so well. Second fastest on leg 2. Just 0.4 of a second behind Davidova. And once again, continuing to surprise us, Jad.
And Dora Overa's shooting time is a full 9 seconds faster than anybody else in leg 2. Tells you where she makes her time, not just on the course, but primarily she took double-digit seconds out of everybody but Dmitrenko of Ukraine on the shooting range. Just 2 shooting stages, and she's 13 seconds ahead of Lehtinen, the 3rd fastest shooter in the leg. So Overa doing what she does best, shooting fast and clean.
And she's put Italy into a very good position indeed. They really had to fight hard to drag themselves back up from that first shoot. And the experience of Dorothea Vela helping immensely. It's now Hanna Ockenthaler, the 23-year-old, also part of that 2023 World Championship winning team in the women's relay. That was just her 10th race.
Overa loses the prize money to Davidova in leg 2 by just 0.4 of a second for that leg time. Awfully tight proximity. They were 12 seconds ahead of Venla Lehtinen, but I got to just give Venla Lehtinen a tip of the cap. Great performance for her. She beats both Noten and Brysa Boucher on leg time, the young or the experienced Finn, but that's one of her best performances in World Cup competition, I think, over the course of her career.
Hämäläinen on this 3rd leg for Finland. 28.1 seconds down on Sophie Chavot, the leader in the colours of France. Ockenthaler in 5th. Norway now up to 4th. Greider, you can see just ahead of Ockenthaler there. Ockenthaler with leg number 5. And Hanna Öberg amongst that group as well. Nothing separating those 3. And Bovar of Belgium just in behind as well.
It'll be interesting to see how Hanna Öberg looks today. It's her first race of the season. Elvira raced yesterday. Looked pretty strong, but it'll be interesting to see which skier for the Swedish kind of team leader at 29 years of age. Now Hanna Öberg brings performance. Her younger sister, Elvira, appeared a couple years after she won her first Olympic gold medal in Pyeongchang and kind of stole the show a little bit on the ski speed front. And Hanna has never really quite skied as fast as her younger sister, but she's much more consistent on the shooting range. And that's why she is a Olympic champion in the individual competition where shooting is at such a premium.
So nothing between Norway, Sweden, Belgium and Italy. As that's the pack you can just see reaching the top of the wall.
Third leg for Germany now coming into view. This is Kink, and she's also another test for the German team. She's only competed in, I can get my screen to work.
This is her 7th World Cup start.
There you go, thanks. And that's anytime you're under 30 starts, you're still a relative newcomer in the sport at this level, at least on the World Cup.
Chavot now into the range for her first visit. At the last checkpoint, it was 10 seconds separating France and Czechia. It's up to 14.6 now.
So Chavot putting a little bit of time and space on Vobornikova of Czech's 3rd leg. Pretty well matched, these two. Vobornikova 16th overall in the standings and Chavot 20th. So they're in the same proximity in the world order.
Starting well now, 3 for 3. Hit on 4. And on 5, and France are away. Great recovery.
Nothing even questionable there in Chauveau's shooting. It wasn't a fast cadence, but it was very solid. Vobornikova drops the last shot, and it's so typical to drop your 5th shot. It's probably the most missed shot in biathlon. And she misses her 6th shot, so she's 2 extra rounds now. And these are the things that if you want to take a medal in a biathlon relay, you have to hit your extra rounds first of all, and then you can't mess with the timing of it either, as she is now. She's got a jam in her rifle.
Finland 5 for 5 though. A huge smile on the face of the coaching team and the fans. You can hear them in the background, they're roaring. Italy clean as well. Hanna Ockenthaler, well, we know just how good she can be.
The young Finn Hämäläinen just schooled the Czech athlete with much more experience, and that's the beauty of biathlon. You can see just how an honest effort with somebody who's struggling can really catapult you up the ranking. Now Finland, improbably 0+0 in 2nd spot. Just 3 shooting stages left.
Well, this is, well, it's quite incredible for Finland. This could top off a very good day. Sweden recovering well and into 3rd.
Trying to look at the ski time. We have no stats on Hämäläinen because she is a junior. She hasn't raced a lot of World Cup competition, but she got the exchange and she was 23 down, dropped to 28 down, fell all the way to 30 to 40 seconds down coming into the shooting range, but she shot perfectly and is only 37 seconds back and in 2nd spot now. Hämäläinen just doing her thing. There's the shooting of Hämäläinen. Let's look at it. Everything's just a little off to the right for everybody on the shooting range, but Hämäläinen, a nice group just to the right of center X. And look at the coach's reaction.
It's brilliant, isn't it? So those are the standings as they came out of shooting.
I was just going to say, I love these kinds of stories, these success stories of the less sung hero rising to the occasion on their home course like that, and you hope for a happy ending. But it's a tough sport. It's still another shooting stage for Hämäläinen, and then they still have to rely on the final leg, Sonja Lehänamo, 22-year-old, to bring it home for Finland. Lehänamo, 17 World Cup starts. And all these athletes from Finland, the final 2 athletes from Finland have a combined 20 starts between them. It's a lot to rely on, but you have to start somewhere. You have to give these athletes a chance to see what they can do against the world's best, and sometimes they'll just step up and do some great things. There's Hämäläinen. She's clearly not as fast as the Swede, but she's hanging on well in this very competitive field with Vobornikova and Ockenthaler.
It is grouped back together. The top 6 within 52.5 seconds. It is Norway, Kukada, who rounds out that top 6. Tandvold will be the next athlete to pick up the baton for Norway.
The Norwegians just have to try to keep it close, at least to the top 2. Chauveau is away, and they've got Norway by 54 seconds at this point. But Tandvold, she has 30 seconds to work with, can get the Norwegians back into medal contention. At this point, that's all you got to be thinking about, as the French are continue to be solid on the shooting range. 5 missed shots altogether, 0+0 for Sophie Chauveau. Right now, Finland leading the way, or actually Italy leading the way with 0+1 on the day.
Here's the trailing pack, making their way up the wall. 37.6 down last time round. And it's Ockenthaler who will break the line on the 15.4 kilometre mark first out of this trailing pack.
Hannah Öberg is not having a great ski day, that is for sure. She's losing time to Sophie Chavot. And like we said, like we talked about earlier today, that sometimes you need a race or two to feel good, and that was kind of my concern for Hannah Öberg, is that is she stimulated enough to have a good ski performance today? And the answer seems to be that she's skiing about as well as mid-pack World Cup ski racers right now in her leg.
Hämäläinen dropping down to 5th. Warnekova 4th, Hannah Öberg, and Sweden in 3rd, and Hannah Ockenthaler and Italy leading the chase on Sophie Chavot. Simon was 2nd in the single mix yesterday with Quentin Fillon-Maillet. Is on the final leg for France. And this is the final shooting for Sophie Chavot.
Hannah Ockenthaler of Italy has been making time on Chavot. It's not significant, but the fact that she's skiing even with her is a good sign that she's having a good ski day. She's chipped away 4 seconds on Chavot over the course of this last lap. Chavot now trying to keep things on the rails for France. Chavot, 73% standing shooter as opposed to 84 from prone. So this is a weaker of the two shooting disciplines. Taking her time. Now increasing her tempo just a little bit to close out the shooting stage. She almost jumped on that shot, and she did. Again, you can see she almost, her barrel dropped a little bit. She held off from pulling. And then she jumped on the trigger again and missed it low and right. But she gets it with the first extra round. France comfortably in the lead, but an extra round again. There's 0+6 now on the day. Hannah Ockenthaler trying to put Italy onto the podium.
Both Italy and Sweden 3 for 3. Clean from Sweden and a miss from Hannah Ockenthaler.
So hard to hit that last shot when the pressure is building that way. Norway's 4 for 4. Norway goes 5 for 5. They'll join Italy now. Norway trying to get Ingrid Landmark-Tendervold something to work with, and that just might do it if Kirkeide can stay with the Italian around this last loop.
Well, there's just under 2 seconds between Norway and Italy now.
Oh, Hämäläinen goes to the penalty loop. So that will probably drop the Finns at least another 2 places with the trip around the penalty loop. You hear the groan in the crowd, the partisan crowd here in Kontiolahti. That's a mature shooting picture right there. The German, very good at ruling extra rounds. She just missed the first extra round shot, but I was pretty impressed with how she was loaded, how quickly she went to the extra round. Here is the penalty loop of Hämäläinen now. Let's see where she comes out. There's still a big enough gap. She's only going to lose really 1 spot, maybe 2, when all is said and done. Came in 5th to the shooting range and leaves in 7th. And I have to make a point that the Finns are actually beating the Germans, which is a rarity. Getting a look back at the shooting of Hannah Öberg and look at the speed with which she belled her targets. 5 for 5, and that is why she is the Olympic champion. She is so savvy, even when perhaps her skiing isn't feeling good, even when she's maybe not. In fact, especially when she's not feeling good, she finds the way to get the targets down, and she has Sweden and her sister in position to fight for the win.
Yeah, Elvira Öberg picking up from her sister after this final loop. And the athlete who has it all to herself at the moment is Sophie Chauveau. Through 17.2.
The lead she had is almost now in half. When she started this leg, she left the exchange leading by 0.6 over Czech Republic, but the Swedes have dropped their deficit by nearly half.
Well, look at Norway. Norway now up into third. Hannah Ockenthaler unable to hold off Kirkeide. And the gap now from Norway to the leaders is 35.8. And just under 6 seconds really between Øberg and Kirkeide.
And it's setting up a great battle between three great athletes of the sport, Elvira Øberg, Ingrid Landmark-Tennevold, and Julia Simone. Their teammates have them separated by just 35 seconds. And Simone will try to get the baton and get it to the finish line as fast as she can. She's so good in head-to-head competition. But can she keep herself on task all by herself with a little bit of a lead? That's the question.
Up the wall one final time, Sophie Chauveau. And there's the three behind, Hannah Øberg, Kirkeide and Ockenthaler, although Ockenthaler just dropping back slightly, you can see that. And really to fight to get back on the back of the Norwegian team.
Kirkeide has taken 12 seconds out of Hannah Øberg since the shooting range. That is, so Hannah Øberg is essentially what we call dropping a plow right now. She is absolutely in trouble. She needs to get to the finish as fast as she can, but you can see the fitness is just not there. She can't push. And meanwhile, Ockenthaler and Kirkeide are putting their teams back into contention, and you just hope that Elvira Øberg has a little more form today than her sister.
Czechia in fifth.
Bornikova started her leg with nearly the share of the lead with France. And now at exchange 3 finds herself at a minute back, wondering where did all the time go.
Finland and Belgium holding their ground, still in 6th and 7th respectively.
So it looks like the Finnish excitement is on the ropes as Hämäläinen drops to 7th now. Still a solid performance, but there's a difference between being 7th and 5th. The 5th feels like you're close to the podium. 7th starts to feel like you're just hanging on. And she is going to have to hang on because there are other nations closing in on her as well. But here is the front of the field now. Sophie Chauveau has done her job and kept the French lead over 30 seconds.
So Sophie Chauveau will round the corner, and Julia Simone will be waiting to take on this final leg. French men victorious this morning.
Oh, they would love to sweep. Love to sweep the relays on relay day. A huge feather in the cap of the French team if Julia Simone can take this home.
The brilliant recovery from Kirkeide. She has had to fight really hard to get Norway into this position where she'll be handing over to Ingrid and Landmark-Tennevold. They start to push away.
We know that the time already earlier this year in World Cup competitions, but I have to say Hannah Øberg absolutely blew on that last lap, and they have to go back and figure out what was the point or what was the issue. Perhaps she's fighting an illness or something along those lines because she didn't start yesterday. Elvira, her sister, did race yesterday. 32 seconds between Norway and 32 seconds to Sweden in third place. The Swedes are not out of it yet. Neither are the Italians.
No, not at all. Just 7 seconds separating second and fourth. But Norway 28 seconds down on France.
The Italians put out Michela Carrera, her father, Pier Alberto Carrera, a medalist at the 1998 Olympic Winter Games in the sport of biathlon in the individual. Carrera is the second fastest skier of the Italian quartet, faster than Hanna Alcantara, who did very well in her leg, still struggled with the pace of Chavot. But the Italians are not out of this, but it's unlikely that they'll move up on the Swedes and Norwegians, but they're right there, 3 seconds back at the exchange.
So the hustle and the bustle of the exchange as Finland just cross out of picture.
Well, ironically, as I expressed my concern about Hanna Öberg, she actually is going to get the time bonus for the fastest leg, but she did that almost entirely off the shooting. She did enough to keep Sweden, to not lose much for Sweden, but she looked absolutely at her wit's end the whole race.
And it's her sister who is glued to the back of Ingrid Lama-Tandavold, and they are 30 seconds behind Julia Simon.
It is going to be a hard task for these two to cut into that time, that lead that Julia Simon has. Simon is going to just have to go on autopilot, not think about anything, and just let the shots go down. And if she just does what she trains to do every day, she's going to walk away with this victory. But if she starts thinking about anything, like we heard from Emilien Jacquelin, he started thinking about that perfect shooting score, and immediately he had a miss, and that can unravel into difficulty. But Simone, she's been here, she's done that. She should be able to negotiate these next 10 shots, and roughly 4 kilometers of skiing, a little more than 4K left to take home the victory for France. But that's what makes this sport so interesting, is that even when you have a lead like this, it doesn't guarantee anything. You could come in and just think the wrong thought. Tempo of Tandavold on the left. You can see she is turning it over. Hanna Öberg has never skied with a very fast tempo. She's a much more powerful skier. Tandavold almost at about a half a step quicker than Öberg, but they're going about the same speed. The tempo doesn't mean they're skiing faster, it just means they're applying their rate of work a little quicker. Öberg probably generating a little more power off each push.
Tandavold looks a woman on a mission.
Michela Carrera, 27 years of age, just taking up the family business and trying to bring home Italy a podium finish in this opening Women's World Cup relay. Czech skier, this is Lucy Shavatová. She is well known to be a very fast skier when she's on her best fitness, but she's had a long career and has never really figured out the standing position. She has had her moments, has Shavatová, but they're few and far between.
Yeah, she was 14th yesterday in the single mixed relay. Shavatová
has one podium finish in the sprint and ontos back in 2020, where she actually hit all of her standing shots.
So Simon into the penultimate shooting. Öberg rounding the corner to join her. It will be the Frenchwoman who will drop down with a 20.9 second advantage.
Right down the center. Right down the center. Oh, 10x. These are amazing shots. Nothing even close to the edge of the ring.
Perfect shooting from France, leading the way. Sweden and Norway neck and neck behind. And it's a miss for Sweden. Norway taking their time. Tandevol free for 3. 2 misses for Sweden. Norway clear.
That's the defining shooting stage between the Norwegian and the Swede. Other Uber goes to the extra round, her second in this shooting stage, and she gets it. The question is, how much time has she given up to Tandevol? Tandevol comes through the time check. She's still over 30 seconds back of Giulia Simone, not surprising.
Italy go clear.
Good shooting for the Italian. Keeping her hopes alive is Carrara. She could sneak in as Uberg and Tandevol maybe play games with each other, separated by 10 seconds. Not even thinking about Carrara. Could she sneak by and maybe take the podium spot? Here's Sharapova. 4 for 5, goes to the extra rounds. And Finland still holding tough. In 6th spot, coming into the range. Leinamo. Two misses just in rapid succession, quieting the Finnish crowd, and now you hear the groan of the 3 misses.
Austria clean, as are Germany and Poland.
Meanwhile, a painful shoot for Leinamo, the Finn, into the extra rounds. She's got 2 extra rounds to hit 2 shots that are still standing. And meanwhile, she'll be passed by 3 teams in that process. Trying to stay out of the penalty loop now is the Finn, as Germany, Austria, and Poland go out on course. She gets to all 5 shots with 8 rounds, and keeps Finland at least in the top 9.
Belgium also dropping into the spare rounds as we go back out on the tracks. Giulia Simone. .33.7 advantage on Tandevol as she left shooting. There is Tandevol.
Tandevol has looked good both races we've seen her. She can waver in her fitness and can get sick quite easily. We know that. If she can stay healthy, she is at absolutely the top of the sport as a ski racer. And she's looked good so far. Tempo is nice and strong. Her pushes are crisp and showing good power. Vera Uberg looks like maybe the weaker of the 2 skiers head-to-head here. Normally I'd give the ski advantage to Uberg.
Well, she looked strong yesterday. It was the second leg that she took on as Sweden finished 3rd in the mixed relay. Looking to make it 4 podiums from 4 here in Kontiolahti.
Penultimate time up the wall. Giulia Simone carrying the hopes of a sweep for France in the opening relay day of this 2024-25 season. And you can almost taste it, but 5 more shots between her and that party that's bound to happen at the French hotel tonight.
Will also be 4 podiums from 4 for France as well.
And in the current sort of climate of winter ski sport, to take the Norwegians down in both genders in the relay would be a small victory, a pretty big victory for France, but a small victory for the sport as well, as Norway has really dominated. Everybody's kind of been crushed under the foot of this strong Norwegian development program, and it's just a reminder that sport is sport. There's always an opportunity for an underdog to win.
They just edged it in the mixed relay yesterday. They didn't feature on the podium in the single mix. They finished 5th in that, the first race of the new BMW IBU World Cup season, starting here in Kontiolahti.
Carrara losing a little bit of time there now, and she's got to keep it close enough that if Uberg and Tendervold have a meltdown racing each other on the shooting range, that she's got a chance to come in and shoot clean and maybe take that podium spot. That's the only chance she really has, as she's now almost 30 seconds back.
Shavatsova driving hard up the wall, and it's back to the range.
For all the marbles and for a huge day of bragging for the French. Can Simone bring it home?
It'd be a statement sweep, wouldn't it, for France? Leading the way in the women's relay after winning the men's earlier today. Hits 2. Miss on 3. Miss on 4 as well. Not too dissimilar to what we saw in the final shooting.
Oh, now she's putting herself in a little bit of jeopardy. 2 shots to hit, 2 targets. Gets the first. She'll want to take her time on this one and get it. And she does it. She goes. But it's got to be fast. It's got to be fast. She's opened the door. Norway and Sweden, and they know it. They can see the missed target. They heard the clunk. And now Elvira Uberg, 2 for 2. 3 for 3 for Sweden. Tendervold following 1 shot back, 4 for 4. It needs to be a hit, and it is. Elvira Uberg is going to try to take the victory from France. And Tendervold drops the 5th shot.
Sweden go clean. Mistakes for Norway and France. How does that change things? It's neck and neck. As Norway come out of the penalty loop. Elvira Uberg just ahead as they head out onto the final lap. Norway with plenty of work to do.
Tendervold just a little bit of a reaction. Too much thinking on that 5th shot. And that is the crux of biathlon right there. You think about that shot and it doesn't go down. And Tendervold now 21 seconds out of the victory. And Norway has just as much trouble of winning this event as they did prior to that shooting. But the big turnaround was Julia Simone. It's almost like she didn't want to think about what she couldn't do, and she delivered exactly what she shouldn't do, shooting a little too fast and a little too reckless, and that has cost her. She is still a fast closer, but Elvira Uberg, if there's someone who's on form who can beat Julia Simone in a sprint, it's Elvira Uberg. It's going to be a thriller.
Well, how many times before the final leg have we seen things chop and change, and it was just mistake after mistake there. The frustration clear for both coach and athlete. And now she has to channel that energy and that adrenaline as Uberg leads the way.
Jean-Paul's reaction is classic. That's not what I taught you to do, he's thinking. But it sure makes for a more interesting finish now as we all perk up and watch this final loop. It becomes a ski battle, and if you break it down, they're pretty evenly matched, are Simone and Uberg. Uberg stat a -5 ranking on her skiing, and a -5 ranking for Simone. I'm not sure how the IBU gets to that statistic, but they're essentially ranked in the same bucket as far as skiability.
We are in for a thrilling finish here. Our final race of the day in Kontiolahti before we go into a fallow day, before the individual competition starts. What a way to top off and finish the relay competitions.
If you're going to make the move, if it's either of these athletes, if they're going to make the move, it needs to be definitive at the point they make it, and they need to be able to hold it to the finish. So right now you're calculating as an athlete, what do I do? When do I go? We know the wall exists. Am I strong enough to get up the wall by dropping this athlete I'm skiing with? These athletes know each other very well, but you're going to ascertain how you feel on this second day of the World Cup. You're still everything's brand new and fresh to the season. And now you're put in this situation, and Julia Simon has a grimace on her face. She does not look particularly comfortable right now. Elvira Uberg still looking good, at least on facial expression. As we head into the wall, who will make the move? But make no mistake about it, you better have the power all the way to the finish line if you want the win.
We're playing one big game of cat and mouse at the front. Tandevold is 23.2 behind. It's between Oberg and Simon. But who will take the victory here? Norway. Well, they had to work so hard to get back into the podium positions.
The move is coming. And you want to make it as definitive as possible to break the spirit of the athlete you're trying to beat. Right now, Uberg getting a little bit of daylight around that turn. Simone closes it up. But now the leg burning, you talk about lactic acid, this is where the lactic acid should build up. Somebody's got to make a big move here. And if neither does, that tells you neither of them are feeling very good on this wall, and they're going to let it come down to a fast sprint once they get over the top of it. Right now, they are just neck and neck. Uberg comfortable at the front. Simone maybe trying to sense for weakness. Oh, Simone, look at her face. She looks like she's in trouble. She almost goes into a single stick walking motion. Elvira Uberg not making it to fit. Oh! And looks like she's got a cramp.
She's really suffering. She grasps her calf and she tries to keep going.
And the Swedes are almost gift wrapping their Christmas present early as the French woman pulls up and tries to stretch her calf muscle. Uberg is going to ski away for the win.
Well, will this open the door for Norway as well? We could see Tandevold on the horizon. She was just making her way up the wall. It's Sweden now with an insurmountable gap.
Now Simone has to just try to get to the finish line. At this point, you know you've lost the race. It's a little bit embarrassing with the lead she had and the way she lost it, but she has to not go for the sympathy approach and stay ahead of Norway.
She's in so much pain, you can see. It's more than a grimace. She's taking any opportunity to grab her calf and try and massage it out. A look back and she can't quite see Norway behind her just yet.
Elvira Uberg didn't expect this in the final lap, and she gives a little wry smile, knowing that she's going to take home the first relay victory for Sweden.
It's a brilliant victory for Sweden. They do it again, taking the victory in the single mix. They've won the women's competition and make it 4 from 4 on the podium. France will do the same. Julia Simon in so much pain as she comes towards the line, repeatedly glancing behind her because she knows Tandevold is there. She will try and glide over the line. She knows she's done enough and will just not move that leg at all. Norway had to fight back.
We saw the face of her already on the downhill. I wonder if something happened on the downhill where maybe she was trying to maintain control and her muscle tightened up. Hard to say, but regardless of what it is, it was debilitating to the point where Simone is actually almost in tears here at the finish line.
Well, it's a great show of sportsmanship from the athletes around her who are straight over to support the French woman. Italy still coming through for fourth.
Still amazing that Simone was able to get to the finish line. That shows you how tough she is. She's clearly in massive pain. And I thought she might have to pull over there, and I just wanted to urge her across the finish line to get there as Italy takes the wooden medal in fourth. But what a relay that was.
Well, it had all the drama, didn't it? A shake of the hand between the teams, I'm sure, particularly from a French point of view, but even from a racing point of view, it's not how either of them would have liked it to finish. They'd have liked it to come down to a final sprint with, well, everyone fit and healthy. And you can see Simon receiving the much needed treatment. Well, you called it, Chad. It was just at this point when you mentioned that she wasn't moving as freely as she should be, and then as soon as you said it, she reached down and grasped the calf.
Yeah, you've heard of the compartment syndrome is a problem that a lot of people have developed in the skate technique motion over the years. I'm not sure that's what it was, but that's the kind of thing that happens is your calves kind of just cramp up and you can't ski anymore. We've had a lot of athletes get surgery for that. I don't think that was probably it. She may have pulled a muscle in her calf just from the effort early in the season, early in that lap. We didn't see that coming into the shooting stage. She didn't have any problems in the second lap. It was pretty much at the bottom of that downhill.
And now it's Finland who are fighting towards the line. They're going to try and get round the side of Germany, but the line comes too quickly for Finland.
Young German team into 7th, 2:51 back. The Swedes, like Kontiolahti, their last victory in a women's relay was 2 years ago. Or actually, 2 years ago, right here in Kontiolahti. That was their last victory. They've been on the podium all but twice since that time. But this is the first win in 2 seasons for the Swedish women. Johanna Telderham comes across the line for Estonia, 10th. Respectable.
Yeah, well, they featured on the podium in every women's relay last season, Sweden. But like you say, Chad, they didn't win on any of those occasions. One of the only ever presents, though.
And Elvira Uberg will get pretty impressive performance by Uberg. She is at her leg time is 39 seconds clear of Tandervold, 58 seconds ahead of Lisa Trieshauser, and Julia Simone lost a minute over the course of her leg to Elvira Uberg. Uberg will take home the prize money for the fastest of leg 4. Look at the other legs for you. Leg 3 winner was
Hannah Uberg took leg 3, which was one of the big comebacks.
Yeah, that'll be a great day for them. They're going to celebrate with with some prize monies. They both win their leg, the two sisters, for Sweden, and that's really what put them back in contention for the win. Was the Uberg sisters' legs? They brought Sweden back to the forefront, and leg 4 is Elvira's for the prize money, and leg 3 is Hanna. Leg 2 goes to Marketa Davidova. And leg 1 at the exchange goes to the French woman.
So I believe the fastest overall leg, just doing the maths, is it's close between Uberg, who was 18 minutes 16 seconds, 0.8, and then leg 1 was won by, as you say,
Lou Jean Monod. Yeah. I believe it's 18:54.7. The difference there is that the reason they break out the different legs is that the first and last legs will have traveled different distances because of their proximity to where they get the exchange. But great day of racing. It was looking like it was going to be not much excitement in this event with France taking the victory, but what a last lap. That was some drama.
Well, plenty of drama, and it was scattered really, wasn't it, throughout the race, particularly for the first few legs. We saw, I think, chop and change. Czechia and Finland into the podium, then dropping back down. Obviously the drama towards the end. A brilliant performance as well from Dorothea Werle. Second fastest on leg 2. A brilliant job to push Italy up into the position that they were, and then they were able to fight back as well for 4th in the end after briefly dropping back down.
You see the final results, Sweden. And in the end, it's 29 seconds with Simone pulling up, and we hope that Julia Simone will be okay. You wonder what would be such a debilitating, what would cause her to pull up so in such pain, but hopefully she can get some physio work done, and be ready for the opening individual competition, a race that she's very good at as a four shooting specialist, and we wish her the best.
Yeah, she will probably be boosted as well, and Francis Hope be boosted by the fact that that is on Wednesday. It's the men who go in the short individual on Tuesday, so 2 days of recovery.
Sweden takes the win in the final kilometer, really, as Avila Uber skied away from an ailing Julia Simon, but great performance. Shows you why biathlon is such a great sport and so exciting. It's never over till it's over.
Elvira, congratulations. That was a very exciting competition. Can you tell us a little bit about the final lap, especially that Julia is not probably the easiest person to battle with for a win?
Yes, of course. I was like, yeah, I know if I shoot zero, I can maybe like go out with her, and that was the case. And I knew that this is going to be a tough battle, because even though I know I'm in good shape and the final loop is, I know I'm strong, but Julia, you never know. She sometimes also finds powers that you didn't know she had. So, but I had a good plan on what I wanted to do if I got in that situation, and I got really good coaching from Johannes as well. That we early on decided on which option I wanted to go for, and then it was just to stay cool and go for that. Now, of course, it's unfortunate that Julia seems to have some kind of issue, and I hope she's fine. But it's always really nice to win a fight on the final loop and then cross the finish line as a victory and celebrate with the team.
But still, it's a win, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So there's the allocation of the points as well, of course, only after one competition, the intermediate standings in the Women's World Cup Relay. 90 points going the way of Sweden.
Should point out the United States, where they ended up on the day in the women's finish. They started a little bit on the shooting range and were unable to. I believe they were pulled from the race during Deidre Irwin's final leg. They were lapped, just got lapped and did not finish. But hope they'll have a better race next week when they hit to the relay again. But
yeah, one of just two teams who were lapped. DNF for Bulgaria as well, rounding out bottom of the results table.
The United States have been rebuilding with some young, exciting cross-country skiers crossing over from collegiate skiing into biathlon, but they're going to need a couple of years to season on the shooting range as they learn from veterans like Deidre Irwin and Kelsey Dickinson about this World Cup competition. And but I think they've got the people in the pipeline they need to succeed at this sport.
Well, I wonder who these two are supporting.
Not ironically, it's hockey jerseys for them. The Swedes and Finns, both nations, very hockey crazy. I know, speaking from experience, that the Finnish ice hockey is a huge deal.
as it is in Sweden, and it's a big rivalry between those two countries. One that Norway doesn't figure into.
So the crowd's gathering round for the flower ceremony. Front row seats for the podium. And the French crowd back again. This time round, it won't be France atop the podium. Sweden, who for the second time this weekend take top spots. Bet they're very warm in there, Chad. Nice to be in one of those, wouldn't it? A special moment earlier, wasn't it, when the French crowd broke out into the national anthem, led by the French quartet, standing atop the podium in the men's relay.
I got to be honest, Ellen, I goosebump up every time I hear the Marseillaise, whether it's an out-of-tune group of fans singing it at a venue or it's a beautiful chorus of orchestra and professional singers. The Marseillaise is such a moving national tribute to a country, and it was really fun to see that happen here in Kontiolahti during the men's victory ceremony.
Yeah, really priceless moments. And out-of-tune, I don't know what you're saying about Fiormaillet, Eric Perrault, Jacqueline and Claude singing. I thought they were quite good myself.
Yeah, I mean, they're amateurs, but I think I think what I love about it was the emotion. I think that
I was just about to say, if you do it with passion, it's absolutely the way.
Doesn't have to be in perfect tune. It's just fine. I'd rather you do it than not.
Absolutely, it was a brilliant moment, and this is going to be once again a special moment. This time round, it's Sweden.
If I'm not mistaken, this will be Sophia Andersson's first ever World Cup podium. So a special moment for the second leg for Sweden.
Sara Andersson and Ella Halvorsen both making their first trips to the top of the podium in the last 2 days. Sweden boasting an impressive group of youngsters who are able to step up and perform when needed.
And today's third team, Team Norway.
So Arne Norton, Kakaida and Tandevold making their way up onto the podium. Well, quite a roller coaster of a relay for the Norwegian team.
Yeah, they're still figuring out their quartet. Since the retirement of Marta Olsby-Roysland, you had the two strong leaders in Tandervold and Roysland who could compete with anybody at the top of the sport. And just that singular retirement of Olsby-Roysland has kind of thrown this relay squad into a little bit of a perplexed state, trying to figure out what is the right order and who are the right personnel, and they're still figuring that out. And until they figure that out, it's going to be hard to win. You can see the French haven't figured it out, though. They have 4 solid teams. Just a slight wavering at the finish by Simone will rectify that problem, though, in the next relay if they can just hold it together.
Well, it's good to see Julia Simon moving fairly comfortably.
Looks a little stiff on the right leg, though.
Yeah.
If you watch her move, she's still in some pain there.
Certainly in a more comfortable position than she was when she came across the line. Raising one arm to the crowd as well.
Seems to be in good spirits. I think she's going to be okay.
Yep, Jean Monod, Graysa Boucher, Chavot and Simon receiving their silver medals. And like we said, it is 2 days of rest that the women now have before the short individual on Wednesday.
The short individual kind of becoming the new standard for the individual, with 45-second penalties instead of their minute, and dropping 5 kilometers, both the men and the women, from their normal distance. I believe it's 2.5 kilometers for the women and 5 for the men. Men do 15K, women do 12.5.
And for the second time this weekend, it's Sweden who top the podium. Magnusson, Andersson, Öberg, the Öberg sisters Hannah and Elvira. sharing a handshake and squeeze their way onto the top of the podium. Well, for France and Sweden, it's 4 for 4. 4 races, 4 podiums. For Sweden in the women's 4x6 kilometre relay, they take the bragging rights.
Swedish women and the Swedish team leading 2 of the 3 relay categories. They lead the mixed relay category as well as the women's relay category. The men's relay, of course, being won by the French men, so 2 of 3 for Sweden. That's a good start for them. And somehow they keep finding these young biathletes from Sweden to step up into these positions. The youngster today for Sweden, and the good story is Sarah Anderson. She did have a rough go on the range and had a penalty loop, but you know, it's all about who you have and what they can contribute to the team, and she did her job today.
Sweden take the victory. France having to limp over the line in the end for silver. They were able to hold off Norway, though, who take the bronze. Yeah, brilliant start to the week for Sweden. We remain here in Kontiolahti until the end of Sunday. The mass starts, closing out the weekend.
Oh, they're holding the bib of the teammate, Gisblom, who was Lynn Persson, now Lynn Gisblom, and I'm not sure what that signifies, but there's maybe she's unable to compete today. That's a possibility, but they're adding her to the photo, one way or another.
Well, that concludes the action here in Kontiolahti. We'll be back on Tuesday for the men's short individual.